And now it's my turn. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed that idea. I just got back from Australia a few days ago. So it's really nice. It's really nice to be here. Everything still feels strange. Like to be looking at you is a little bit strange. I go to Montreal tomorrow, so I'm kind of like floating a little bit. But this is like the most grounding thing that I could do. So I'm happy to speak to you. We shall begin with love because that is the nature of the universe, I'm told. So, this first poem is called Arson. It is about, you know when you fall in love with someone? Has anybody in the room ever fallen in love with anyone before tonight? Okay, good. Yeah. You can have that poetry show anytime. Trust me. I know, right? That's all I gotta ask. It's like, it could happen, 20 minutes, that's all it takes. So when you fall in love, my experience has been at the beginning, like day 1, day 2, maybe week 1, week 2, it's all bubble gum and raindrops. It's like, oh, yes, this is nice, this is warm, this is great, this is, like eating cotton candy, this is lovely. And then if you hold the gaze of that person for long enough, you understand that your life is going to change. Not because they are menacing people or because they're going to hurt you necessarily, but because love is naturally a mirror. So anyone who loves you deeply will eventually show you who you are. And we human beings do a very, very good job of lying to ourselves. And so when someone says, I'm going to love you enough not to lie to you, I'm going to love you enough to show you the parts of yourself that you don't want to see, you're like, oh, shit. I was getting so good at hiding all the bullshit. I had this house all decorated to my liking, so you couldn't see my head. But love will do what love will need to do. So this poem is called Arson. You have disturbed my heart, but I made of that heart a red brick house where the doors fly open and the hinges rust whenever you offer up my name. I wrung my sadness into a bucket of tin and hid it behind the shed. I baked my resentments into a pie, left it to cool on the sill of the kitchen window until an unkindness of ravens pecked at and ate it. My scorn, I tucked beneath the bed. My dejection, I folded into shirt sleeves I do not wear. But when I let you in the house, you turned my mattress upside down. You threw my clothing across the room until what I hid from you scampered over the floor like brown-backed roaches. You told me you loved me enough to make all my secrets useless and all my darkness radiant. You took the head of a kindled match and you pressed it to the wooden floor. You watched my house burn, but you worshipped at the rubble. Thanks. I believe that love is the first language of the universe. And I'm a poet, so I'm a lover of language, which is a circular way of saying I'm a lover in a deep way. I'm a lover to the very fiber of my bones, I hope, I think. And because I'm a poet, I think poetry is in some way a visionary discipline, in some way. It's like a third eye visionary discipline, so like I'm always conjuring pictures, conjuring dreams, and then those dreams turn into like written language, and then I speak the dream into this room, and it's like, oh, I see it, it's nice, hopefully. And so, if you combine my capacity for love with my capacity for dreaming, it means that every romantic relationship I enter is real serious, because the dream is like larger than this province, larger than the continent, it's like huge, you know? But the fortunate and unfortunate reality is that no person alive is the person of my dreams, which is to say, that no one exists solely for the purpose of making my dreams come true. So whenever I'm loving honestly, the dream has to fall away eventually. And sometimes that hurts. I like how I say it hurts and you laugh. I thought we were friends. Sometimes it hurts, but it makes for good poetry. So this poem is called I Had a Dream for Us. Oh man. I had a dream for us. A sort of private world, fragrant as a garden, uberous as spring. Had a dream of us as sunflowers, rising, twin stems entwined with the limbs of dancers, thoughtless, but for the logic of joy. I had a dream of us in a river, a strait, a channel, whose waters folded over us like hands, like prayer. I had a dream of us naked, nearly, as our excitement was, swimming, our bodies slick as otters, light as seaweed, as intentions, as love is when it is warm. I had a dream of us praying, always praying, silent in our devotions. Our gods may be separate, but alive, doubtlessly, as magic is, as jade is, as fire is when it is bright. I had a dream of us as cherubs, babies, ageless, fattened by laughter, feasting always on mirth. I had a dream where stars could not char, could not blacken your innocent hands. So you had a dream for us. You plucked the stars like fruit, fed me from their nectar. My mouth was sweet with wine, electric. I had a dream of us as drunkards, babbling like elders, like singers, like water over stones. I had a dream of us in a garden of our making. I dreamed my hands thumbing the soil. I had a dream of us kissing, always kissing. The soil of us, naked of smell. My hands, elegant, stained by earth. And you, in the garden, fertile as spring, with me, with our mouths, planting seeds. Thanks. So, the nice thing about touring internationally, is that no one knows who you are. So you can do whatever poems you want to do. The nice thing about coming home is that everybody knows who you are, but it means you can't always do the poems that you want to do. It's like, I heard that poem already. You did that poem last month. I'm like, true. So I have some new shit for you, because you deserve it. So the reason I'm going to Montreal is to make a jazz EP. It'll have 6 tracks on it. And the reason is that on my last album, the last track of my album has like a jazz kind of inspired track. And that seems to be the track that everyone like talks the most about. So I'm like, okay, I see you, cool. I'll give you more of that, sure. So I'm going to Montreal to do that. But the project is called New Utopias, because I want to see what the capacity is to write myself into joy, or to use the tool and power of poetry to carve out space for more authentic pleasure, at least. And so these poems are explorations of joy, because spoken word doesn't make a lot of room for that. So here we go. This poem is called If the Hunger Left. If there was not in the human condition the slant science of verses, to loft conjectures against the sky, to guess at the sublime psyche of stars, their falling and whizzing, their poltergeists and specters impressing an evening's dark Polaroid with false light. If my ignorance did not bend into thirst, if I did not crowd my misunderstandings with symbolism, snatch like a raven every glittering orb into the mouth of wonder, turn the common spilling of water into metaphor of exhaustless river, how could I describe my brother's face, where a moon of supple skin beneath his eyes exposes the softness from which our father loved his mother, The feminine kernel in our lineage claustrophobic with males, calloused sometimes by fire. If not for contradiction, the tension of being, proving at once and all times the limitation and greatness of humanity. What need would there be for the perfect liberatory dialect of jazz, remaking the atoms of everything it touches, granting to African hands and mouths, in trumpet and piano sounds, mastery of all feeling between here and heaven, between birth and birth and birth and its opposite. If not for the excruciating ecstasy of smallness, all of life drained into a powder keg of a body, the impregnable birthplace of dark matter mimicked anyway by Alice Coltrane's harp or the moan from Nina Simone's throat. If not some hazard, some guess or gesture at all of this, if not the silt or risk of poetry, if not for foolishness and cruelty, some better rectifying companion, then what? A life? Then what? It's like introducing my new lover to all my friends or something. It's like, oh, how do you feel? I hope you like what we have going on here. This poem is called New Utopias. There is in the harsh planet of the body a place where the grass is long and wild as sugar-high toddlers, where jackals are loose and stumbling with wet-nosed hunger the dark and quiet garden into which I seed my prayers. My own belly is a single distending night where our lion mauls ritually with a mouth's brutal force the womb of a gazelle. Sometimes I am the antelope, shrieking plaintively, my tongue tasting air made thick already by the salt of my death. Others I am the cat, satisfied, my stomach glowing with new flesh, with blood like the purple moon of a bruise widening. When I was given my name, it was heavy with meanings I did not grasp. Nobody told me that to be human was to be the master of entire dim worlds, the appetites of other spirits, strange and barely tameable. Had they told me sooner, I would have dreamed so many utopias by now. Swapped crows more often for hummingbirds who dangle pendant bright, it seems, from freedom's necklace. The hummingbird cannot be ushered out of paradise. Its stormy wings are as dangerous and sweet as cane fields. Nothing resists the quill of its beak, threading into the nectarous goblets of a flower. Let me dream myself then into the thirst of hovering birds. There are no words really for how parched I am, how even the wind crusted the rims of my dry mouth, yet everything mimics heaven. The earth, if I listen, is a water song crooning countless banks. There is no chorus of rivers that will reject my small, crooked voice, my constant stooping into wet embraces. What keeps my wings from beating as deftly as hummingbirds, when every sunlit morning has grace enough to turn common men to seraphs? Today, tonight, only disbelief, the muscle of a mind quivering under the weight of dreams. I will speak the new utopias, give each a name, coax the planet tender with my singing. I shall read one more. Do you want to hear a poem called Water Dance, or Still Here?
Water Dance.
Water Dance, okay. I don't know, it's not that more people said Water Dance, it's that the one voice that said Water Dance said it within the one voice. So I will take that one. Do y'all remember when Beyonce performed at Coachella and everybody lost their minds for some reason? I knew you would remember, I knew you would. So I haven't gone to the church of Beyonce, but I pray often in other places. It's no shade, I'm just saying. But anyway, I was watching the video because I'm an artist, and Beyonce is a high caliber artist as well, obviously. And it just, I don't know, it made me think of the ecstasy of feminine congregation, let's say. Whatever genuine spirituality people are finding in in the power that Beyonce wields. And so it made me write this little poem. I have heard my sisters frenzied. They're singing summon Orishas to an ocean center. I have heard them, joy's syntax crest like a wave, its sonorous pulse symbol the earth in water's absence. I have seen the goddess open like a full sky, a celestial mouth, and spindle lightning into a single crackling note. Have you heard, brother, the song that melts the nightclub to honey, that slicks the walls to glistening with the labor of 1,000 bees? Have you heard the trumpet moan, cry out, torch the evening red? Did you think the wind pulled into a chime's thin silvered body? Did you think it numb, absent? No, brother. A flute tooth shrills with pleasure, plumes the air with orgiastic witness. Did you hear, sister? Do you hear the songs of praise misting like dew, the windows of this temple, the voices of rejoicing as plentiful as ants, as hungry as termites chewing out the canker of sorrow? And look, sister, how a single quill of sound can read my limbs ecstatic. And what is a body but divine machinery, tuned finely as a cello's bow to pleasure's asking? Look how the goddess uses me. Look how I billow with the breath of unwritten song. Sister, turn your head. Look how many divinities we are. Feel how the room sways, rolls at our insistence like thunder through the grain womb of a cloud. Aren't we together as irresistible as rain? Is heaven a symphony, an angelic gushing? Look how firmament wells with the water of our chorus. Aren't we a storm, sister? Aren't we a storm, sister? Aren't we a storm? Look, oh, sister, when we move, the sky trembles, torrents our relation. Look how the world shifts, sister, when the goddess flows. I'm going to do 2 more poems and then we will have intermission. Just more joy. This poem is called Birthright. It doesn't deserve, well, it deserves an explanation, but you'll get it. You'll get it. If gulls can halo the sea, or adorn with off-white feathers the translucent vermilion crown of a July afternoon, then nature means to say there is no animal too lowly to touch life's majestic head. There is no shame in having fingers without rings, or those made more for poetry than kingship. If it means I haven't had to spill blood or conquer any man outside myself to press my hands against the richest parts of this world. Sure, I have felt in a handshake violence squeezed between 2 palms, like the heartbeat of a mouse against the metal of a trap. And I am not so free as to claim I am my own master, but I am unbound enough in the chains we each inherit that freedom still speaks to me in a voice that is sweet, or a song like as the sparrows that peel the sun from its heavy bed each morning. I mean to say that I am alive, and the universe is a mostly cold and unknowable place, yet somehow I am not. And that is an innocent enough miracle that anything my body touches leaves in its wake a wealth of gratitude. I mean to say, the lips of mercy have fallen so often on my skin that I am as tender always as a bruise is to touch. So among the things humans can give, there is nothing I need to grovel for in order to dignify myself. Already, I did not ask for life, yet the soft, bewildering fold of creation opened, formed a womb around the idea of me, until the unlikely truth of my pulse was proof enough of purpose and a worthiness as pure as the gift of birth itself. I forgot the poets are in the room. I feel you. That was kind of fun. I said I was going to do 1 more, but I feel good, so I'll do 2 more. And I'm hosting the show, so who's going to tell me no? Power of the microphone. Oh, wow. Let me do... feel good. This is the aforementioned Still Here 2, not to be confused with Still Here 1. Stop for a moment at Paine's philosophies, its memory mistaken for yours, bright red ribbons looping always in your mind like jump ropes. Laugh at the absurdity of magpies, their tongues grinding morning air like saws, like axes of lumberjacks against the gristle of trees. Laugh at the way they clatter afternoons with noise, lift you from the atmosphere of your sleep dreams. And when hardship finds you, as ever it will, naked in the mirror of your self-praise, give it whatever corsage of tears it asks for. Let it piss stain for a time the pages of your journal, the phrases where love's new vocabulary was blossoming under your hands. And when it leaves, remember how tender and bewildering a science survival can be. How you've managed the winds and beakers of its experiments without compass or guru. Remember, someone once gave your frail infant body a name, mended it together with expectations and hopes, filled its shadow with gentle mythology, and all of this you've kept or relinquished to lantern a singular path through the countless mazes of human breath. Who could have guessed your footsteps? Who could have guessed your footsteps? Your resilience turning the Rubik's Cube of happenstance to poems. Who could tell the story of it without tasting a sacred alphabet in their mouth? Or list your quiet triumphs without abandoning calendars? Nobody but you, in the brilliant fact of your still being here. And lastly, before intermission, a poem called Joy, for reasons that I hope are very obvious by now. Joy. Joy is not a language I speak. Rather, it is the language that spoke me. I am, after all, the child of an ancestor's ecstatic prayer, the wraith of their primordial saliva constellated into flesh. Even the cleft of my raised arm, poised as if into the mark of a question, asks, isn't the black goddess merciful? Isn't the black goddess merciful? Hasn't she wandered often through the house of my body and perfumed me with beauty? If I sing the song of my soul's deepest knowing, doesn't the unseen spirit of the world answer back screaming, joy, joy? If I walk a single step in the direction of my truth, angels unfurl their wings as commonly as street pigeons, trailing me on sidewalks cooing glory, glory. And this is how I know who I am. My grandmother's heart was a seed she placed in the soil of my chest. And that kernel, splitting in this Canadian dirt, grows into something so rich that when I move, it's as if I'm an entire forest. And love, spilling from my seed, is a wind that chimes through me, like a ripple of breeze through branches. Joy, then, is not a language I speak. It is the sugar and juice of my life, blessing the tongue of the world that still makes to speak blackness and holiness in the same sentence. So I'm not a person speaking of joy. I am the mighty phrase that joy speaks. Thank you. My name is Fred. So with that said, we're going to take a 15-minute intermission, after which more beautiful poetry, more joy, more rigor, more black brilliance. So I'll see you in 15 minutes. Patronize the business, buy a sandwich, buy a juice, hug a friend consensually.
Don't stand at the bar.
Don't stand at the bar. Don't stand at